12 o'clock.
From the top of the wall, Wallace Hall, it's Proud Fighting Scots Radio, WPFS, FM 105.9, Monmouth.
And we're live on WPFS, Proud Fighting Scots Radio, 105.9, Monmouth. You're tuned in to Wall-to-Wall Politics, and I'm your host, Brody Anderson. You know, I'm glad this snow has passed. You know, I was out there first thing this morning, and that snow was just blowing every which way, and I'm very glad it cleared up. It's a little slushy out there, but we're going to be just fine. And because the snow subsided, my guest wandered in today. Matthew-c-Scaro, Libertarian candidate for Illinois governor. Matthew, how are you?
Brody, I'm doing great. I honestly couldn't be happier to be sitting here across from you in studio, getting to talk about solutions for the broken state of Illinois.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Matt, you know, we had you on, it's probably been about 10 months ago now, I think, since the last time you were on the show. A lot's changed since then. Your campaign has gone into full swing.
Yeah.
We're a lot more developed than what we were back then. But I guess, you know, for those who are unaware, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, I'm 35 years old. I live in Chicago, Illinois. I was born in Boston, but I've lived on both oceans of this beautiful country. I definitely call Chicago my home. I was raised in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm a small business owner. I think that I represent the average guy, the average citizen. I'm not a billionaire like J.B. Pritzker or Bruce Rauner. Not that there's anything wrong with that, to be honest with you. I would like to be a billionaire one day.
Who wouldn't?
But I'm not right now. So, you know, I have a company that does web and software development. I got involved in politics. I watched this video from Ron Paul that motivated me, that changed my life. And, you know, I said, hey, listen, this is something I want to be a part of. So I joined the Illinois Libertarian Party and the National Party, the National Libertarian Party. I was the Gary Johnson's Illinois events coordinator, and I also worked on the Claire Ball and Kent McMillan campaigns last year. Claire Ball is running again for comptroller this year and is a great candidate if you don't know who that is.
She is. She was on probably that first week of November. Phenomenal. Had a great time with her. Very well-informed, well-educated candidate.
She sure is. She sure is. And she's part of this all-star team that the Libertarian Party is assembling. So I think that people are looking for change here in Illinois. They see the corruption, the fraud, the waste, and I think that they are ready to vote for libertarians. They are ready to vote for freedom, and I sure hope that they are ready to vote for Matthew-c-Scaro.
So you mentioned you were a small business owner, right?
Yes.
So what did you do before you owned your small business?
I had a different company. I did direct sales. So we offered contract direct sales to cable, internet, and telephone providers. I had offices in 2 states, although I helped open an office for a 3rd state as well in Boston. That doesn't matter. My background is in sales, and I've worn a lot of hats in my life. I was involved. I was an academic counselor at the University of Phoenix for a period of time. I've been, a server. I'm an inch deep and a mile wide, Brody.
Real Renaissance man, right?
I don't know about that, but
so, as I said, I'm glad you came on the show today because the media is not picking up on you. Mm-hmm. Right, the media isn't picking up, and I guess this is an opportunity to shine. Right, this is media. So, how can you help turn that tide for the media starts knowing more about you?
Well, I think that the media needs to start picking up libertarians in general across the board. But I think that the really important part is that libertarians, we need to stop putting up libertarians who sound exactly like Republicans and Democrats. That's not what the populace wants to hear. When they think libertarian, they think something different. They think third party. They think radical sometimes. And that's good because the 2-party, or as I like to call it, the 1-party system, is more than happy to ignore the Libertarian Party because we are a threat. We are a threat to the state. We are the only party that actually wants to take away that power. We are the only party that actually wants to diminish the size of government and to protect civil liberties. So I think that what we as libertarians all together, and myself included, need to do is to differentiate ourselves and not just fall into that trap of the same old patterns that Republicans and Democrats talk about. So we need candidates that stand out, but candidates that stand out in a good way. I like to think of myself as somewhat of a hybrid, right? So I can sit here and I can talk to you about Medicaid, I can talk to you about the pensions, workers' compensation, the state of Illinois, all the issues. And at the same time, I can talk to you about radical libertarian philosophy, about freedom, about the Constitution, about our founding fathers. And I think that that's what we need. We need electable, pragmatic, intelligent, well-spoken candidates. And I hope that that's what people see from me.
But do people necessarily want that radical, though? I
think that they do if they actually heard what it was. Well, we are the party that most closely follows what our founding fathers fought and died for. Yeah, I absolutely do, especially in the state of Illinois. I don't think people want the status quo. I think people are begging for something other than the status quo. They thought that they were going to get something different from Bruce Rauner, and they were lied to. And so, yeah, I definitely think that people want to hear something a little bit more radical at this point.
But do you think that, I mean, it's more radical, sure, but do you think it necessarily gets more people on board? I mean, when you start talking about things like privately funded roads or ideas like taxation is literal theft, most people don't actually believe that. Taxation and theft is a good bumper sticker, don't get me wrong. It looks good in the back of the car, but in reality, does it really work out?
Well, both of those things that you just mentioned never actually. I mean, I have said taxation is theft one time in my debates, but I don't hammer home on those things. And yes, I do think that we do need to say radical things. Ron Paul, my idol, said that in his first week as president, he would abolish the IRS. And in the second week of his presidency, he would abolish the Federal Reserve. And Ron Paul started a revolution. Oh, sure. He spoke truth to power. Now, I'm not saying that I'm Ron Paul. But man, I mean, that's the kind of guy that I look up to, is that radical, intelligent, well-spoken politician candidate, and that's what I want to be.
There you have it. So, I guess building on that, though, you know, driving on this idea of radicalness, I mean, you may be posed to win, you know, the Libertarian Party nomination, right? You're one of three people. Of course, not including the above option. But you're one of the three people who are running. I guess you're posed to win that, but how do you expect to get, you know, 98% of the Illinois populace that isn't libertarian on board with you?
I don't need to get 98%. I need to get 34%.
Oh, you need 34%, sure. But if you look at the last rate of people who voted libertarian, it's about 2.1%.
Right. So, again, it comes down to having a message that's different than the two-party system. Look, I don't want to criticize my opponents here, but I don't hear anything much different from Cash Jackson and Jon Stewart in regards to policy than what I hear from Bruce Rauner. Other than, I mean, even J.B. Pritzker's talking about legalizing marijuana. It just sounds like the same old thing. I think I provide something much, much different. And I think that if I get on a debate stage, I will absolutely demolish them. I'll massacre them on a stage, Brody. I'm a very dangerous man with a microphone. If you put me on stage against Bruce Rauner or J.B. Pritzker, I will defeat them. Because there's going to be no what is Aleppo questions for me. Because anything that they ask me about, any of the policy-related questions from the state of Illinois, I'm going to have a clear, coherent, well-laid-out, thoughtful answer. And that's what the people are looking for. Yes, people are ready for a freedom and radical candidate, but they also want someone who can, you know, talk about, you know, how we're going to make sure that funds get into schools and not even just the school administrators, but actually into the classrooms. And so, you know, I think that that's what I provide. Yes, I do think that people are ready for a radical message. And I think that a radical message is the only way that we are going to gain traction here in the state of Illinois.
All right. So let's start talking about a little bit of these issues, okay?
Please.
Let's talk, I guess we'll go from the top here. Let's talk about the pension program.
Okay.
So what's your plan on to solve the $1 million pension problem?
Ooh, man. I wish it was $1 million pension problem.
Yeah, it's more than $1 million.
I sure do wish. I think that right now we are $130 billion underfunded. Maybe it's $150 billion. It's a massive, massive issue. So, okay. First and foremost, I want to start out by saying that pensions were promises made. And everything that I am doing is to make sure that those promises are honored. I have a plan, and so let's take a step back here.
Sure.
From the state of Illinois, we hear the word pension a lot, and not all the pensions are the same. A big one is the Chicago's teacher pension, but that, up until recently, had no funding from the General Revenue Fund. We also hear about municipal pensions. Those are not relevant. What we should be talking about are the 5 main state pensions: the state employee retirement system, the state university retirement system, the General Assembly retirement system, the judges retirement system, and the teachers retirement fund. And those are massively, massively underfunded. I think on average it's 38% funded. So you asked me what my solution is. Right now we have a Tier 2 system. The Tier 1 system has been around for quite some time. And in order to fix that, they used essentially a Band-Aid a few years back. They created a Tier 2 system. And look, I hope I'm not getting too nerdy and boring for everyone here, but this Tier 2 system is so unfair. All new hires in the state of Illinois are placed on this Tier 2 system. Now, the Tier 2 system actually subsidizes the Tier 1 system. So those dollars that should be earmarked for their pensions and their retirements are actually going to fill the gap for the Tier 1 system. So it's completely unfair. I'd like to see that Tier 2 system gone. But the only way that we're going to do it is if we create a Tier 3 system. Now, what do I have in store for the Tier 3 system? It is a self-managed plan. In the private sector, if you get a job working for any company, they're probably going to give you a 401k. You're going to put in a portion, and they're going to match a portion. That's what the state of Illinois should do. So that is what I propose, is having a 401k, or it's really going to be a 403b style self-managed plan. We would combine this with an annuity-like fixed benefit, which would be purchased annually. Doing that would keep us in line with the Illinois Constitution. And the Illinois Constitution does need to be amended, but in the meantime, this is how we work around it. All right. The second part is allowing people who have accrued benefits already under their pension system. So let's say they are expected to earn $1.5 million over the course of their lifetime, estimated. Allow them to purchase out that pension at a significant discount, and I'm estimating that the magic number is probably 40%. Now, you might say to yourself, why would anyone take 40% of their total pension cost? Well, maybe they're concerned that these malevolent bureaucrats in Springfield are not responsibly using these funds and that the money might not be there. So I like the idea of allowing them to take some of that money to transfer it into a self-directed IRA. If you take out retirement funds before a certain age, I think it's like 55 or something like that, you get whacked. You get a big tax penalty. Mm-hmm. But if you transfer it into a different retirement vehicle, you don't. So if they took those funds and they transfer them into a self-directed IRA, they're not going to have to meet a massive tax withdrawal. Okay. The third part is oh goodness, I'm having a little bit of a brain fart here. Okay. Tier 3 buyouts. Oh, cost of living adjustments. Compounding cost of living adjustments. Right now we have 3% compounding cost of living. They call these COLAs. Right. I get it. I get having a cost of living adjustment. I think it should be 2%, if anything, to match the target inflation that is set by the Federal Reserve. But we have 3%. Okay. The issue is the compounding portion. Because it's compounding, over the course of 20 years, the amount that a person earns annually from their pension doubles. It creates a completely unsustainable system. So we have to get rid of the compounding portion of the COLAs. Now, the only problem is that the Supreme Court is going to try and tell me that we can't do that. But what I'm going to tell the Supreme Court is, fellas, if you don't take a look at this one again, they're going to be bringing out the rope and the pitchforks. So we need to think about this, okay? Because people are getting really, really upset. I have a lot of other ideas with the pension system, but those 3 main factors I estimate could save the state of Illinois $4 billion annually.
So here's my question about that before we take a commercial break, right? My question is, when you go out and you're saying the next set, the new hires, the new teachers, the new state of workers, they're not going into the normal pension program. They're setting up a 401k, or you said it was a 403b, right?
Right.
How does that keep the system from not collapsing in on itself because you don't have any new money coming in?
It's being matched by the state. Well, there is money coming in. There's money coming in from the employee, obviously from the 7% or 9% that's required by the state would come from the state employee, and there would be a match that would come from the general revenue fund. And that is, as much as I don't like using the stolen dollars, it's a heck of a lot less money than it would be from revenue not coming in. We have revenue coming in. We have more than enough revenue coming in. There's a big myth that Illinois doesn't have enough revenue coming in. That's a total lie. We definitely have the revenue coming in. And so, yeah, the funds would most certainly be there.
Okay. All right. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back with some more wall-to-wall politics on WPFS, Proud Fighting Scots Radio 105.9, Monmouth.
All athletes know the dedication and hard work it takes to become a champion. Athletes also understand that they become part of a community, and athletes help other athletes reach their goal. Help a Special Olympian reach their goal today. Volunteer, make friends, smile, and achieve. Learn more at SpecialOlympics.org.
Words can bring us joy. It's a boy. They can humble us.
This day has brought terrible news. At 9 o'clock this morning, the Columbia's lost.
And even inspire us.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Words give our world meaning and give us a voice. What do you want to say? Join the Monmouth College Forensics team and learn how you can make your voice heard. For more information, like Monmouth College Forensics on Facebook.
This is Robin Johnson, part-time professor here at Monmouth College. Join me Wednesdays at noon for Heartland Politics, a radio show I host where I interview politicos, pundits, and other people with opinions on politics. Wednesdays at noon on WPFS 105.9, Proud Fighting Scots Radio.
When people feel something wonderful, when they really want to share their happiness, they sing. Join the Mormon Tabernacle Choir each week as they sing the world's most uplifting and joyful music. In music and the spoken word, you may forget the songs, but you'll remember the feeling of happiness.
You can hear music in the spoken word every Sunday morning at 9:30 on WPFS Proud Fighting Scots Radio.
All week long, we're surrounded by the urgent, jangling noise of our busy world. Take a break. Treat yourself each week to a half hour of the beautiful, peaceful songs of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir in music and the spoken word, like a soothing, refreshing palate cleanser for your mind and heart.
You can hear music in the spoken word every Sunday morning at 9:30 on WPFS Proud Fighting Scots Radio.
Every year, 6,000 people die as a result of texting and driving. It could be your best friend, it could be your mom, it could be your dad, it could be your brother or sister, it could be you. Nearly 1 in every 4 car accidents in the United States is caused by texting and driving. Your life is more important than a text. Put your phone down while driving and save a life.
And we're back on WPFS, Proud Fighting Scots Radio 105.9. Monmouth, you're tuned in to Wall-to-Wall Politics, and I'm your host, Brody Anderson. Thank you for tuning in this beautiful Sunday afternoon. So, I got Matt-c-scaro in the studio with me. Go ahead and send me questions, right? Shoot the Wall-to-Wall Politics questions on Facebook. Shoot me questions if you have me on the cell phone. We'll get some questions asked from the public while we're at it.
Yeah, Brody, just real quick, anyone who's just tuning in right now, you are listening to the only candidate who will go against these parasites in Springfield. I'm the only one who's willing to go to war with Mike Madigan, Matthew-c-scaro. So remember the name.
Anyway, we'll get back to that in just a second. No, if you're, you can listen to me on 105.9. You can also, if you're on campus, watch me live on Channel 14 on the cable, as well as you can stream me worldwide from the WPFS website or on your smartphone using the TuneIn app. Anyway, Matt, you just mentioned you want you're going to war with Mike Madigan, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. How do you expect to get everything working together? Because, it's really easy to say, oh, we're going to war with Mike Madigan, the Republicans versus
Sure.
Democrats. We've used that tactic before.
Have
Right?
we? I don't think we have. I
Left
think every
versus
single
right, we've used left versus right before.
No. Every single candidate who's governor says that they walk in, they say, "I'm going to work with both sides."
Well, you have
Yeah.
to. You have to.
Why?
Because if you don't, nothing gets done. Then you end
Good.
up with government shutdowns.
Brody, listen, nothing's getting done anyway. We went almost 3 years without a budget. Are you kidding me? No, I'm not going to get along with these guys. These guys are the ones who put us in this situation.
Well, you're gonna have to give or take something. You just can't walk in there and run the show.
Why?
Because that isn't how politics works. You're not Huey Long.
You're right. That isn't how politics has worked. It's how politics will work if I'm governor.
Okay, go on. Explain.
Well, listen, I don't think that General Assemblies, I don't think that Congresses were set up to agree. I also don't think that we were supposed to have just two parties that go in there and rule.
Well, I think we should have been all independents. That's what George Washington wanted in his farewell address.
Absolutely. And so that's not what we have today. The Republic has been lost, and in Illinois, at least, I'm going to reclaim it. I just think it's horrible that these Republicans and these Democrats vote across party line, except, of course, for the 15 Republicans who voted for Mike Madigan's tax hike.
Right. And they're all leaving office. The majority of them are.
The majority of them are. Yeah, and you know what? And Bruce Rauner would not go out and call them out for that. I'll tell you right now, if any libertarian voted for that tax hike, I would be rallying to have another libertarian run in their place. But you know what? Guys like Thaddeus Freed and John Eldon Matthey, they're not going to do that. These are honorable men. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that in the Julius Caesar sense. These are actual men that I respect. But yeah, no, I'm not here to get along with the General Assembly. The General Assembly is passing draconian laws on a yearly basis. They are spending your money like it's going out of style. They're telling you that we're running out of money, yet at the same time we have the highest total tax burden in the entire country. The whole state's broken. So no, I'm not here to get along with Michael Madigan. And someone told me a while back that, you can't go after Mike Madigan. You can't say that. You got to get along with that guy. Forget that. I don't care, man. This guy is a parasite, and I'm going after him. So that's it.
I mean, you don't have to get along with them per se, but you have to get along with the whole General Assembly total. I mean, you have to get all branches of government working together, right?
If I could, I would fire every one of them, Brody. If that was an option, and I'd say get rid of the whole lot of them, and let's elect brand new ones, I absolutely, in a heartbeat, because we don't have term limits right now.
Right.
So yeah, get rid of all of them. There's a couple good guys. I like Alan Skillicorn a lot.
I do
but
too.
if the option was fire all of them, I would say fire all of them.
Would you push for term limits if you were governor?
Term limits is on my website. It's something that I have talked about. I definitely support term limits. I support 8-year term limits on all three branches of government. I don't like the idea that politicians get that job and then they sit in office and all they think about is getting reelected. I want them thinking about you. I want them thinking about Joe Sixpack. I want them thinking about the taxpayer, not how they are going to get reelected.
For the pension program, are you going to cut the General Assembly fund too?
If I could, I would. It's unconstitutional. I would get rid of that, and I would get rid of the judges' retirement fund. I'd get rid of both of them. I think that they are the ones that put us into this whole mess. Yeah, honestly, if these were men with spines, they would say, "Don't pay me my pension." That's what they should say. They should say that before they're telling a teacher, down in East St. Louis that they're not going to be able to get a pension. They should voluntarily get rid of their pension. Yeah, I as governor, it's going to be difficult. I would, but because the Constitution forbids it. But I think that they should not. I do not think that you should get a pension.
True. Do you consider yourself the spokesperson for the Illinois Libertarian Party right now? With you having these giant plans to overhaul Springfield?
I think officially I will be the spokesperson on March 4th. Right now, I think I'm the most outspoken libertarian of the Libertarian Party, yes.
Do you think you're going to win on March 4th at the nomination?
Yeah, I do. I do think I'll win. And if I didn't think I was the best candidate, if I didn't think that I was the most well-spoken, if I didn't think that I had the best plan, the best solution, and I understood the role of governor the best out of all three candidates, and if I didn't think that I was the most principled, I would drop out of this race. But in all three categories, I believe that I am superior to my two opponents.
Okay, what makes you better than Cash Jackson or Jon Stewart then?
Well, I mean, quite honestly, man, Brody, I'm not supposed to, right now it's really faux pas for me to talk negatively about my opponent. I'm not allowed, according to the Libertarian Party, even to go after their policies, right? I can't go after the words that have come out of their mouth, right? But we both know that those two have put their foot in their mouth repeatedly. And I think that that's a huge thing. I've never, ever had to roll back any statement that I've ever made as a libertarian. What makes me better? I think I just laid it out. I understand the state of Illinois better. I understand the office of governor better. I'm more well-spoken than they are, and I'm more principled than they are. And if you put me on a debate stage, just like I destroyed the two of them 3 times already, I will do even worse to J.B. Pritzker and Bruce Rauner.
Well, like I said, though, at the end of the month here, we're having our Wall-to-Wall Politics is hosting, the quote-unquote last debate before the convention.
Sure.
It's the 25th of February. And that's going to be your time to shine, right? It's going to be your time to shine, to prove to everyone in the area, to prove to everyone at Monmouth College that you should be Illinois governor.
I hope so. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that opportunity.
Great.
I love doing these debates against John and Cash. Look, every single time I do it, I gain more supporters. Every single time I do it, I think people can see that I'm heads and tails above the two of them with a microphone. So I would debate them every evening, every weekend if they'd let me.
There is enough chapters in the state to do that.
Not yet.
Not yet. How are you going to support down ballot, by the way? Because we just got done talking about General Assembly. How are you going to support down ballot libertarians?
Tell them about what T-shirt I'm wearing right now,
Well,
Brody.
you got the John Matthew shirt on right now.
That's right.
Who's running in Illinois? Is it the 70th? Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, John Eldon Matthew, man. We'll talk about a great principled libertarian and a personal friend of mine. How am I going to, number one, I think that's a huge responsibility for the top of the ticket. I go down and I visit, these candidates all the time. I co-promote them. I did put out a post. I was asking for people's information so that I could share it on my website. So hopefully everyone will get back to me. And if you haven't yet, that's a gentle reminder. Please send me your information and I will post it on my website as I had promised. I do think that promoting down ticket is a huge part of this. And that's why I've been talking, especially about assembling the all-star team. We have got some killers, man. I mean, if you put Claire Ball, and Mike Lahaney right there, I mean, that's like having LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant on a team. I mean, it's just, we're killers. You know what I mean? All three of us can talk about any portion of Illinois politics and the solutions for it. And, man, so I can't say enough good things about those two, especially. But yeah, promoting down ticket's a huge part of this.
Do you got a preferred gubernatorial lieutenant governor?
I will trust in the party to decide that.
All right. Just whenever we were talking down ballot, I thought we'd talk about that. Anyway, let's get back to a little bit of the issues, all right? Medicaid. Let's talk about Medicaid.
Yeah.
What's your plans on solving this Medicaid problem we have going on?
Man, Medicaid is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Here's the funny thing, Brody. I'm the only guy that wants to talk about Medicaid. If you listen to the Democrats and the Republicans or even Cash or John, no one wants to touch Medicaid. And I'll tell you why, because it's difficult. The way that it's funded is difficult. There are state funds, there's federal funds, and we're also talking about healthcare and healthcare for impoverished people. And there is just this huge screaming component of emotionality to it. And people always like to say that libertarians don't care about poor people, which could not be further from the truth. But Illinois, Medicaid, as I've said, is the number one line item, for Illinois. We don't spend more money on anything else than Medicaid. So in 2013, Pat Quinn signed into law the Medicaid expansion under Obamacare, under the Affordable Health Care Act. And this was, in my opinion, an absolute travesty. And I think people were trying to tell him, hey, listen, don't listen to the swan song, Mr. Quinn. Please don't do that, because this is going to bankrupt the state. The federal government picked up 100% of it up until January of 2017. Now we're footing the bill. So prior to the Medicaid expansion under Obamacare, 1 in 5 Illinois residents was eligible for Medicaid. I keep saying Medicare. For Medicaid. 1 in 5 were eligible. Now it's 1 in 3. Medicaid was never set up to be universal health care. And the issue with it is we have a massive, massive waiting list. And people are dying while they are on that waiting list waiting to get Medicaid coverage. Furthermore, there are doctors who are taking over a year to get paid from Medicaid, from their claims. So that's a huge issue. And of course, it's just a huge cost to taxpayers. So everything that I am aiming to do is to make sure that those funds earmarked for Medicaid go to those that are most in need, to the most vulnerable. So here's my solution. Number 1 is get rid of Medicaid expansion under Obamacare, which was signed into law by Pat Quinn in 2013. Got to get rid of that. Number 2 is to limit Medicaid to those over the age of 18. The system was not meant to be for everyone, and it should not be for everyone. I don't think that a working age adult like myself, who's 35 years old, should be able to quit his job and go and be eligible for Medicaid. That's not realistic. That is not sustainable, and we have to end it. Doing those 2 things alone would massively help it. And then, of course, I want to make more of a free market for healthcare across the state of Illinois as a whole. And that'll help more than just Medicaid. That'll create lower costs and better outcomes of healthcare for people all across the state of Illinois. By doing all 3 of those things, we could save Illinois an estimated $5 billion. So already on this show, Brody, I have just laid out a plan to save $9 billion. You asked what makes me different than John and Cash. I'd like to hear them lay out their plan to save $9 billion.
So, there's a lot of millennials out there who want free healthcare, right?
There's no such thing.
Well, the quote-unquote free healthcare, right? They want government-run healthcare.
Yeah, and I want to give a free pony to everyone.
Okay, Vermin Supreme.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, this is a theme that's been going on with millennials and people that fall into the farther left. I mean, how are you going to convince them otherwise that you should just let the markets have hold, and no, you shouldn't be on government-run healthcare?
Well, you shouldn't be on government-run healthcare. I think a great
example.
example.
You have to make an argument to prove against them.
Well, give me a second here,
okay.
and I'll do it. All right.
All right.
Yeah. So, if you want a great example of government-run healthcare, go ahead and look at the VA hospitals. The VA hospitals are horrible, and this is what's treating our veterans. I mean, if there's any one segment of population that should get excellent health care, in my opinion, it is the veterans. But they don't. And that's because government bureaucracy is involved in there. Government wastes money. Government is not effective. And and why you don't want that is because they create a monopoly. And when there is only one company or one group, or in this case, one government that handles everything, you don't have choice. And when you don't have choice, there's only one choice. There is no incentive for them to do better or to charge less. For a long time, like, for instance, Comcast was, and this is a bad analogy for healthcare, but Comcast was like the only game in town, and they started racking up, and they still act kind of like a monopoly. They just jack people's prices up. If we had 15 different cable, internet, and telephone providers across, in Chicago or Monmouth, I think that all of these things would cost significantly less. Anyway, I digress. So yes, we do need to have a free market for healthcare. I like the idea of having full transparency in healthcare. So let's say like LASIK is a great example that people always use. If you walk into an office and you want to get LASIK surgery, they're going to tell you directly, hey, it's $3,000. It's out of pocket. It's $3,000. If you walk into a hospital and you need to get an MRI, go ask them. Say, hey, how much is this MRI? You know what they're going to say to you? I don't know. We're gonna bill for it, and and then the insurance company's going to get the bill, and then you're going to have a copay, and I mean, who knows? Yeah. But it's impossible to know the cost. If we had transparency, I think that alone would help the system. So what I like the idea of is allowing the free market to enter in, to allow there to be massive amounts of competition. When we have competition, we have lower costs and we have higher quality of output. And and here's another example too. It's like, so the government mandated that everyone have. By the way, when we talk about healthcare, we're really talking about health insurance.
Right.
So, when in the Affordable Health Care Act, when they put in the individual mandate that required people to buy health insurance, that's crony capitalism. That is supporting a single industry, the healthcare and the health insurance industry, and of course, the health insurance companies are raising their costs and the premiums are going up. Imagine if you sold microwaves and the government passed a law that said every single man, woman, and child must own their own microwave. And you are one of only 2 microwave makers in town. Of course you're going to raise your costs. Of course you're going to do it, right? Because everyone has to buy one. So that's what we need to do. We need to get the government out. We need to kick the FDA out of the state of Illinois because they murder people, millions annually. And we need to create a free market for healthcare. And if we do both those things, people will be able to get better healthcare at a lower cost. I think that's what everyone wants.
Vote for Scaro is free microwaves for all, right?
And ponies.
And ponies. We'll be back some more wall-to-wall politics only on WPFS, Proud Fighting Scots Radio 105.9, Monmouth.
Help, I'm stuck and I can't figure this out.
Shh. You're in a library, bro.
My bad. It's just I have to write a 5-page essay about it tomorrow morning, and I don't know where to start.
Well, there's no need to fear. Mellinger Writing Center is here. They have great writing tutors that will help you every step of the way.
From outlining to writing your paper and even citing your sources.
The Writing Center is a place for you, located in Mellinger.
Imagine yourself locked outside, starving, severely dehydrated, wondering what you did wrong. You cannot speak for yourself. Nobody will listen. Nobody will understand. When you try to speak, you are beaten for it. What did you do to deserve this? Where did you go wrong? Pets suffer every day, but you can help. Consider adopting an animal today. Stop animal cruelty.
We have all heard the saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me. DoSomething.org reports that nearly 43% of kids have been bullied online. Bullying victims are 2 to 9 times more likely to consider committing suicide. Words can hurt. They can kill as well. 1 in 4 kids have been bullied more than once. 90% of teens who have seen social media bullying say they have ignored it. If you have seen cyberbullying, report it to campus security immediately. Let's work to make Monmouth a better place.
Wow, our campus is so beautiful.
I know, right? It's so awesome.
Look, they're littering.
Boy, if you don't.
If you see or drop trash, pick it up, because it not only harms our earth, but the plants and animals that inhabit it.
Plus, it makes everything look bad.
So the next time you see or drop trash, please throw it away, because ain't nobody got time for litter.
From the worlds of science fiction, we bring you an epic adventure of modern fantasy. Tales of wizards, demons, pirates, and sorcery. Join us. Through the magic of radio, we'll travel beyond the borders of your imagination into the magnificent realms of mystical fantasy as ZBS Media brings you The Incredible Adventures of Jack Flanders.
Tune in every Thursday at noon and every Saturday morning at 9 for WPFS Radio Theater right here on Proud Fighting Scots Radio.
Hey man, you want a cig?
Nah, I got practice soon, but thanks.
Dude, come smoke and hang. You're always at practice.
Whoa, relax. I'm trying to make captain next semester.
Alright man, go run then.
11 minutes of your life is shed with each cigarette smoke, and about 500,000 fatal losses are reported due to lung cancer. Say no to cigs. Your body would appreciate it.
1 in 4 children in America grow up without learning how to read. Read, Lead, Achieve is Pi Beta Phi's philanthropic effort that believes in the power and importance of literacy. Pi Beta Phi strives to make a positive impact on young lives and help inspire a lifelong love of reading that can unlock true potential, creating a more literate and productive society. With the continual support of Read, Lead, Achieve, we can climb the ladder of success in assisting children in learning how to read. For more information on Read, Lead, Achieve, please visit PiBetaPhi.org. One child, one moment at a time, one life changed forever.
And we're back on WPFS, proud Fighting Scots Radio 105.9. Monmouth, you've tuned in to Wall to Wall Politics, and I'm your host, Brody Anderson. Thank you for tuning in on this, it stopped snowing, but still snowy Sunday afternoon. Sitting down today with Matthew-C-Scaro. Matthew, how are you?
I am excellent, and for those just tuning in, again, my name is Matthew-C-Scaro. I am a libertarian candidate for Illinois governor and the only candidate who has sworn to hold your totalitarian bureaucrats accountable in Springfield.
You should put that on a t-shirt.
Don't laugh. I'm totally serious every time. When I say that, I mean it, man.
I'm telling you, it'd look good on a t-shirt, I'm telling you.
It probably would.
Look good on a t-shirt, I'm just saying. You could be in charge of your marketing campaign,
All right, we can talk about that, Brody.
All right. Anyway, getting back to it. So another thing that's kind of stuck out to me as a little wonky, we'll say. You've talked about things like all drugs should be legalized.
Oh, yeah.
Justify it.
Okay, absolutely. The drug war is absolutely, wholly, and completely immoral. It is insane to me that people think that we can have a war on drugs alongside the Bill of Rights. It is not right to put someone in jail who has never hurt anyone else. We talk about living in a civilized society, right? And yet we have no problem throwing people into cages for using plants or any other substance. So there's the moral argument. Here is a financial argument. You pay, on average, $38,000 annually to incarcerate someone for a victimless crime like drugs. Do you think that that's really a good way to spend your tax dollars? If you could find out the way that your tax dollars are being spent, do you think maybe we could take, say $5,000 of that and help put those people into drug treatment programs? I think that's a much better way of spending your tax dollars than to just absolutely ruin their lives, give them a felony so that they can never get a job. They can go back to their communities, which is now broken, and creates a cyclical system of poverty. Also, the drug war, it has to be abolished, right? So just abolishing marijuana laws and legalizing marijuana is not nearly enough. If we don't abolish all drug laws and get rid of all victimless crimes, that will still allow police officers to pull over black and brown people, to search their vehicles, to cut out all the stuffing in their seats, to absolutely destroy their lives, to kick in their doors. And, so there's that. So there's a total violation of property rights. Also, when we have drugs that are illegal, anything that is illegal, and there's massive demand for it, we create a black market. Mm-hmm. Okay? So we saw this in the 1920s with alcohol in Chicago. People were driving around with Tommy guns. Now, that's been replaced today by people in the drug trade using handgun held sideways, spray and pray tactics to defend their drug turf. That is because of a black market. Black markets are violent. We need to legalize it to end the black markets. And here's the other thing, is that when drugs are illegal, drug dealers know that, and drug dealers don't want to get caught selling drugs, right?
Obviously.
So who gets less sentences, adults or children?
Oh, is this a question towards me?
Yeah.
Who gets less sentences for the drug war?
Yeah, who's going to get a lesser sentence if they get arrested with drugs or if they get arrested with drugs? Children or adults?
If they're under 18, you would think children would.
That's right.
Right.
That's all right. So oftentimes children are used to mule drugs, and children are put in the crossfire, and that's why kids like Hadiya Pendleton get murdered, and so many others. Yeah. And it's absolutely disgusting to me that we would allow this to continue, especially because in Illinois we don't have a culture of skilled and safe firearm use. And the drug war is absolutely racist too, by the way. Just so everyone is very, very clear on this. Harry Anslinger's Gore files, which were entered into congressional testimony, stated that drugs needed to be illegal because their effect on the indigent races. The drug war from its onset was racist. When they passed the Harrison Narcotics Act, they said that that cocainized Negroes would rape white women. And quote, the newspapers would gin up articles about that, about what the effect was on these races and how they would go crazy if they used drugs. So there is absolutely no moral, scientific, theoretical, or legal basis for the drug war. It's an absolute violation of personal property, and it's wrong. It's wrong in every way. And I'm absolutely disgusted by the concept of using drugs. I don't use marijuana. I don't even drink alcohol. And by the way, alcohol is far more dangerous than it is the most dangerous drug. It is the most dangerous drug, and yet it's completely legal. So we have a war really on safer than alcohol drugs. So guys like John Hopkins. John Hopkins is, famous for being a renowned surgeon. John Hopkins used heroin almost every day. He used to take heroin before he did surgeries to steady his hand. So, and heroin would be safe if people knew exactly what the dosage was and what was included in it. But it's not, because it's illegal, so it has to be concentrated so it can be smuggled and then diluted for sale. So most people that die from heroin don't die. They die because they have no idea what the concentration is. If we had packaging on there that actually explained how much of the substance is in there and what other substances are in there, I think that deaths would plummet like they did in Portugal when all drugs were legalized in Portugal in 2010. But we don't. Of course we don't. We just have this ridiculous war on drugs, that Just Say No campaign that was touted by Nancy Reagan, which is absolutely ridiculous. So we have a racist drug war that has, no problem allowing young people and innocent people to be murdered as a direct result of it. We have no problem throwing people into cages. We have no problem violating all of our constitutional rights contained within the Bill of Rights. And we pretend like we live in a free society. If we truly believe in freedom, we need to stop legislating against stupidity.
Couple things, right? So, I can understand the moral and monetary argument, right? I've heard it before. I can understand that. I'm with you when it comes to marijuana. I really am, right? I think marijuana should be legalized. But it's going to be one heck of a hard sell. One heck of a hard sell for the rest of the state to buy on that anything harder than marijuana or anything more than marijuana should be legalized.
Why?
Do you really think there's people out there going, you know what? I think we should legalize meth today. I don't think so. I really don't think you're in the major minority with this, the vast minority. This should be a non-issue, I think, right? I don't think this should even be talked about. I think 99%, if not more, of the populace would agree that things like meth should not be legalized. And yet you're making a claim that it should.
No, you're absolutely right. Most people would agree with that because they've gone through government youth indoctrination camps that we call schools, and they are not taught civics any longer. So people don't understand what a free society is all about. I don't advocate.
We're taught civics in school, though.
Most people are not taught civics.
Yeah. It's in the government education program now.
It was replaced by social studies.
Social studies is a broader catch-all category for government history, sociology, psychology, anthropology, and civics.
Yeah, it's quite diluted. It doesn't teach people about their constitutional rights and the implications of a lot of these actions. Look, a drug war allows police officers to completely violate the Fourth Amendment. It allows them to arbitrarily search a person's vehicle. It allows them to go into black and brown communities and enforce drug laws racially.
So then, is it okay?
No.
Is it okay to shoot an officer when searching for your drugs?
Is it okay to shoot an officer when searching for your drugs?
I mean, seriously. I mean, then we're gonna start running into this issue. If let's say I don't know. Let's say I'm walking around with cocaine in my pocket. Okay.
Correct.
Right. And an officer sees there's half a thing of cocaine reaching out of my pocket. Right. And the officer says that's not right. Are you going to somehow justify that the officer trying to get that cocaine is more just than the person who's using the cocaine?
It is unjust for that officer to take that person's private property. And number one,
I mean, even if it's an illegal substance,
the law is immoral. It's not even a legal law. It doesn't meet the requirements of common law. It doesn't, Brody. Common law requires there to be a victim and intent. Who's the victim? When that guy has a bag of cocaine hanging out of his pocket, who got hurt?
Well,
who got hurt?
No one at that point in time.
Correct.
No one at that point in time.
No one got hurt. If no one's hurt.
At that point in time.
Okay.
At that point in time. I mean, you could say, I'm driving along, I'm driving this afternoon, and then suddenly, is my car a death machine then? Because it hasn't happened yet?
Okay, so now you're making my argument, right? So should we outlaw cars? Here's a better one. Should we outlaw glue? Should we outlaw glue?
I'm glad you brought this up because, me and you have had this conversation about the glue.
We have.
Yeah, we have. Remember the Scaro brand glue.
Oh, come on. That's Elmer's glue. I'm being serious. These are I think it's called a deliriant. Glue is a deliriant, just like alcohol. If kids want to go and use drugs, they can do that. They can go and get messed up if they want to. But should it be illegal? Should we throw someone in a cage for it?
I don't think we should be throwing a kid in the cage for it, but I think we should be thinking about rehabilitation and be seriously thinking about what is the parent doing at that time.
Well, how are you going to get them to rehabilitation? You have to force them, right? You want to use force to do it.
Yes.
You want to use force against an innocent person who's never hurt anyone else.
Well, if the kid's going to do damage to himself, yes, I would say. I would say.
So you believe in laws against people doing damage to themselves. So McDonald's should be illegal.
Well, you see, now that's a different argument because people are voluntary in that.
People are voluntary if they want to use cocaine.
I know, but McDonald's is a lighter sell than what is cocaine.
I thought the argument here was hurting yourself.
Right. It is.
Both hurt you, correct?
Well.
Actually, McDonald's hurts you far more than cocaine would.
But that's beyond the point. I mean, it boils down to this, man. It boils down to this.
I don't think it is beyond the point.
No,
I think that we're going to talk about people hurting themselves. We can't legislate against people hurting themselves, Brody. It's wrong. You're supporting a totalitarian, authoritarian government. You are giving police the right to arbitrarily violate people's personal rights and their property rights. It is the primary function of the Libertarian Party to support property rights. And if you don't support a drug war, if you support a drug war, I can't imagine how this could be really argued in a free society. I believe in, maybe it's just this. Maybe I believe in freedom more. Maybe it's that.
Well, yeah, I think that's kind of a common argument inside with libertarianism. There's always you ever heard the bus argument? That we all get off the bus at different points in time, we're all moving towards the same path, right?
Well, let's talk about the kid with the cocaine hanging out of his pocket.
Right.
Yeah.
But seriously, it boils down to this, right? It boils down to this. Do you think 99% or even 33% of the state of Illinois, the electorate that's going to say, yep, I'm going to vote Matthew-c-scaro, wants things like meth, heroin, cocaine, ecstasy, whatever, legalized? Do you really think that? Do you really think that is going to sell? Because that's what it boils down to. Because if you don't think that's going to sell, then you need to change the position in order to win.
No, I totally disagree with you.
Because then that boils...
and I'll explain to you why. Because maybe I'm not your prototypical politician. And maybe this is what sets me apart. Because I won't water down my message to win. I have principles, and they don't change. And if people don't like that, then they should not vote for me. But this is what I believe in, Brody. I do not believe it is right to throw someone into a cage, to incarcerate someone who has never hurt anyone else. And that kid who's walking down the street with a bag of cocaine has not hurt anyone. It's the same as if he had a bottle of alcohol, if he had a cigarette in his mouth, if he was eating French fries at McDonald's. It's the exact same thing, in my opinion. And there's no reason that cop should grab him. So let's say that he doesn't want to give up his cocaine. Does the cop now have the right to assault him, to throw him into a cage?
But, the thing is, cocaine does not
Brody,
impair... Yes.
Answer that question.
One more time with the question.
If he does not want to give up his cocaine, does that police officer have the right to grab him physically, put him in handcuffs, and throw him into a cage?
If it is an illegal substance, if cocaine is an illegal substance, then yes.
Okay, so it's the laws then. So if it's a law, we should enforce every single law, no matter what.
Well, then it should be a law then.
Like slavery. So you would have supported slavery.
No, slavery is abolished.
But slavery was a law.
And it's abolished now.
And this law should be abolished.
This has been a thing that's been abolished
and
for 150 years.
And this law should be abolished.
Plus.
And this law should be abolished.
Well, that's your opinion.
No, this law is immoral as well. It's immoral.
I don't think so. I really don't think. I don't think wanting a society not full of meth heads.
I don't want a society full of meth heads.
That's what's going to happen, though. I mean, if you say, okay, let's legalize meth, it's going to be, okay, I'm going to go down to the dollar store there and buy some meth. Do you really think we're going to have less of a drug problem?
Yes, I do. And I'll tell you why, because that's what happened in Portugal. Because in Portugal, they have much less of a drug problem. If you quantify a drug problem as people dying, in Portugal, when they legalized it in 2010, overdoses plummeted.
What about addiction?
Addiction did not change.
In Portugal?
That's correct.
Do you think it would change in the United States?
No.
See, I think it would.
Why?
Because there's a lot of people who would go out there and go, okay, today I'm going to try heroin and get hooked on it, and then suddenly they're hooked on heroin for the rest of their lives.
Okay, so if that's the argument, then you have to use that argument against alcohol. You have to. It is the morally consistent argument.
Sure.
So you think alcohol should be illegal?
No, I don't think alcohol should be illegal. I really don't think so. Because it's an it is socially accepted. I think it boils down to the will of the people, right?
It was also socially acceptable to own black people.
In the South, and there was a war because of that, Matt.
That's true. That's
Right.
true. Because it was immoral. And we
Right.
should have, and we have a war on drugs right now, and we should have a war on the war on drugs.
Like I said before, it boils down to this, Matt. Do you really think the majority of the electorate, the majority of the people voting in the state of Illinois, will get behind a plan that legalizes all drugs?
If they hear me speak, yes, I do.
Okay. Well, I guess that's why we're here, isn't it?
It is.
So
I think I made a darn good argument. I think the people listening would understand exactly where I stand. I believe in freedom, Brody.
Sure.
That's what I believe in. And if you want a free society, if you believe in the Bill of Rights, the Bill of Rights cannot stand alongside a drug war. And I believe in the Bill of Rights.
Fair enough. You want to take this thing for another half hour?
Oh, absolutely. Can we take a 2-3 minute break?
Yeah, we can take 2-3 minute break.
All right.
We'll get back to more wall-to-wall politics on WPFS, Proud Fighting Scots Radio, 105.9, Monmouth.
Monmouth College, stand up for Umoja. Umoja is Swahili for unity. Umoja is a black student organization that promotes unity. Umoja brings a diverse group of students together to talk about issues that may not be directly discussed on campus. The topics vary from African American culture, how to be successful in and out of the classroom, how to be a successful leader on Monmouth College campus, and what's going on in the world around us. Umoja is open to all people, hence the word unity. Show up and show out.
Calling all musicians. There's an opportunity you aren't capitalizing on. The Monmouth College Fighting Scots Marching Band wants you, that's right, you, to carry on the legacy of the Fighting Scots Marching Band. But I haven't been playing for long. They'd never let me in. That's not true. They're looking for players of all skill levels, without an audition. But who can I go to so that I can join? Just call 309-457-2397 to speak to the band director, Jordan Van Dyke. That's 309-457-2397.
The Adventures of Ruby.
Yeah, its scaly back is turned. I step out. I let it hear the sound of my blaster being set. It whirls and fires. I slow it down and slip aside. A beam scorches past my head. A chunk of the city flies into the sky. Slimy is surprised. It missed. It didn't know I can control time. I smile. Here's a kiss for you.
Tune in every Thursday at noon and every Saturday morning at 9 for WPFS Radio Theater right here on Proud Fighting Scots Radio.
Hey everyone, be sure to tune in every Friday at noon and every Sunday at 2 p.m. for our new show, The Backstage Pass, where we interview up-and-coming artists like Midair.
It says the kingdom of love.
Foreign Figures.
Fire, fire, let's burn brighter, brighter.
Shania Page.
I pray we always stay just like this.
Star Dancer.
Earth Mother Days.
The Amazing Heebie-Jeebies.
Heebie-jeebies on a Saturday night.
And much more, so don't miss it. Only here on WPFS 105.9 Proud Fighting Scots Radio.
Extra, read all about it. The Courier's looking for available writers.
Hey, kid.
Who you calling a kid?
What did you say about the Courier?
They're looking for interested writers to help write for the newspaper.
Excellent. This can help out with my resume. Where would I go and when?
Every Wednesday at 7 p.m. in the student publications room located in the lower level of Stockdale.
Gee, thanks, kid.
I'm not a kid.
Give your Friday afternoon a boost. Tune in to the Backstage Pass Fridays at noon to hear up-and-coming artists talk about their lives and their music. The Backstage Pass on 105.9 WPFS, Proud Fighting Scots Radio.
And we're back on WPFS, Proud Fighting Scots Radio 105.9. Mom, if you've tuned in to Wall to Wall Politics, and I'm your host, Brody Aronson. Thank you for sticking around on this extended cut of Wall to Wall Politics. I'm sitting down with Matthew-C-Scaro, who is running for the governor of Illinois under a Libertarian banner.
Yes, absolutely. I am the only candidate from the state of Illinois who actually has policies that are pro-freedom. So I think that you should consider me, Matthew-C-Scaro, Libertarian candidate for Illinois governor. I am much, much different than Bruce Rauner and J.B. Pritzker. Vote for me, vote Libertarian.
So, moving, I want to touch on this one more issue about the war on drugs. I have one more question about it from our last segment, right? And I don't want to dive into that 30-minute thing we just had, but say in your perfect world, right?
Yes.
The people of Illinois want all drugs legalized, okay?
Okay.
And that's on the docket. It passes through the General Assembly somehow, and we have this drug, I guess, utopia, if you want to call it, in Illinois. Do you think the federal government would allow that?
No, they wouldn't. Of course, the republic has been lost, and we have a tyrannical government that would definitely try and step in. We have the chief psychopath, Jeff Sessions, would undoubtedly have problems with that, and he would say that I'm not allowed to do it. But I would be exercising the right of the 10th Amendment to do so. And, by the way, one point I want to make is I don't want to just legalize what are currently illegal drugs. I want to legalize all the drugs that are currently in testing through the FDA, who the FDA is not allowing people to try certain drugs. And when they die because they don't have cures, I believe that the blood is on their hands for that. So it's not just about cocaine and heroin. It's about, pancreatic cures and stem cells and all sorts of other quote-unquote drugs. It's just private property that is being banned for no good reason by a tyrannical government.
Sure. And I guess I kind of fall in the same line of that. I think if you are on your deathbed, right?
Yeah.
And, you're going to die. I mean, there's no way around it.
Yeah.
You have cancer, stage 4, whatever, and you want to try some experimental drugs. There should be a little bit of paperwork, obviously, signed that, the family doesn't turn around and sue pharma for $1 billion, kind of a thing like that. But I think you should have the choice, right? If
Absolutely.
If there's no other way, and you want to try this experimental drug that you've read on, it's up to you. I mean, and that should be on you. So I agree with you on that. After our big spiel in the last segment, I agree with you on that.
The right to try is one of the fundamental platforms of the Libertarian Party. I think it's actually even on lp.org. I think we talk about it. So yeah, totally could not agree more.
So anyway, we talked about drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's shift gears, okay? Completely different, right?
Okay.
Well, actually, it doesn't have to be completely different because it's still, can relate, right? In the past, you have talked about, and I'm referring to the very first gubernatorial debate between you, Cash Jackson, and Jon Stewart, when you have talked about, and you've seriously talked about this, about Chicago breaking off and forming its own state.
I don't advocate that. I just said that I won't close the door on it. And it's not Chicago. It's north of the I-80 and below the I-80. So there's actually been legislation that's been brought up on this multiple times. In Illinois, we kind of have a story of two states. Mm-hmm. And look, I'm not. This is not something that I'm championing, but all I've said is that I'm open to listen to the concept. I don't think it's right that we are funneling money downstate into the Chicago the Chicago teachers pension system and the Chicago public schools. I don't think that's right. I think that's immoral. I don't think that someone in East St. Louis or Belleville or Cairo, Illinois, or Carbondale should be having to have their money stolen from them and given to Chicago. So I don't blame them for being angry. Furthermore, all the influential politicians in Illinois always seem to come from Chicago, and unfortunately, I'm from Chicago as well, but I do like to think that I do speak for everyone across the state of Illinois, all the farmers down south, all the coal miners, everyone. So secession is not something that I'm championing, but it's just something that I'm not closing the door to. That's it.
Okay. All right.
I didn't think that's what you were going to say, by the way.
Well, what did you think I was going to say?
I thought you were going to try and rip on me about my comments on education.
No, that was next.
Okay, good.
No. I mean, now that you brought it up, anyway. Yeah. So, Mr. Scaro, you've talked about higher education being a waste of money.
For some.
You made this comment in the first major gubernatorial debate, right?
Yep.
I guess try to justify it.
I just don't think that everyone should be, basically pressured into going to college. I don't think that makes sense. We have kids that go through high school and they just know that they're supposed to go to college. And my question is why? Why do we have this preconceived notion that you need to put yourself in $250,000 in debt to get a piece of paper that at this point has been so diluted it's not even going to get you a better job? And, I know kids who are in college, they're 2 years in and they're still undecided. It's like, why would you not do that? So there's a couple reasons. I mean, so number one, I definitely advocate like trade schools. I definitely think that we need more people who are skilled in certain areas. Now, if it's something like a lawyer or medical school or you who want to be a teacher or, there's plenty of professions that I think people absolutely should go to college for. I just don't think that everyone should go to college. I don't think that there should be pressure for all children to go to college. And then, also I look at things like the Khan Academy, which offer free education. And so I don't want it to sound like I'm anti-education because I could not be more anti-education. But I will say that the one thing that was more educational to me than anything else, and I have a bachelor's degree and I only went half of a master's degree. I never completed my master's degree. But I learned more starting a business than I did anywhere else. So I often advocate people, young kids, if they don't know what they want to do and they're like, I'm just going to go to college and figure it out. I say, look, okay, so a year of college is going to cost you $50,000. You could, I have a million different business ideas that you could start for under 10 grand. Why don't you try 5 different, try one business idea, put 10,000, get a loan, put 10,000 into that, try to create a business. Doesn't work, do it again. Doesn't work, do it again. And do it 5 times. And if that doesn't work, then go to college, But I would be willing to bet that they will be successful in one of those 5. So there's that. Also, we have Ivy League schools. Yale and Harvard allow people to audit classes online for free. You don't get the $250,000 piece of paper when you're done, but you do learn all the information. So I think there's a lot of reasons. Also, just a lot of these schools are socialist indoctrination camps at this point.
I guess we'll get back to the socialist indoctrination camp here in a second, but you can audit these classes online for Yale and Harvard, right?
Yeah.
My question is this, though. When it comes down to you do these classes online, you get the skill set, whatever you're trying to do with those classes.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to get a job, will the job, I guess, honor you doing all those classes online? You don't have the piece of paper saying that I graduated from Yale?
I'm not encouraging people to be deceptive in any way, but just the people who are listening to this right now, ask yourself, has anyone actually ever asked to see your college degree? Just think about that one for a second. Have they ever actually just said, hey, I need to see it? Or did you just put it on a resume and they took it at face value that you understood that? No. Yeah, you're right, Brody. You're not going to get the degree. You're not going to get the credential, but you're going to get the information, and that's what you're paying for anyway, isn't it? We could easily have an aptitude test.
Well, yeah, that's why people collect tests,
right? And yeah, exactly. It's just the cost of education is skyrocketing right now, and then we also you talked about free healthcare for all. There's a big push right now for free college education for all.
Yeah, I think that's on, if you consider a quarter, right?
Yeah.
The healthcare is on one side and the education is on the other.
So
that's definitely what's being pushed right now.
Not only will that bankrupt our nation, if you think about it, then if everyone has a bachelor's degree, how much is a bachelor's degree worth? And you, Brody, you just paid for a bachelor's degree. Now, 3 years later, everyone gets a free bachelor's degree. Is that fair to you, Brody?
No, it's not fair, but I guess on the flip side of that is the reason why I'm here isn't because I paid $35,000, $40,000 a year. It's that I worked my butt off and got here, and they pretty much pay for my existence being here.
That's awesome, man.
So no, it's not about me taking loans out. It's not about that. It's a matter of if you work hard enough, the opportunities are there at these, more so at these small liberal arts colleges that are just kind of the remnants, because the state schools aren't going to care. Right. The state schools have 5,000 people going in, every class, or you know what I mean. They have these large sums of people always going in. It's these liberal arts colleges that maybe have 100 people, 150 people, 200 people per class, right? They're the ones that are more inept to give you money.
They are. And I just want to be extraordinarily clear that I am not opposed to education. I am the biggest advocate for education that you will ever meet, but I am opposed to the narrative that every kid who has, even if he doesn't know what he wants to be when he grows up, needs to go to college. That's just wrong. We should not be teaching people that.
Right. And, there is a shortage of very skilled non-degree jobs. I mean,
sure.
Electricians, plumbers, tradesmen, things like that. There is a high demand for that, and I've joked about this 100 times. I'll joke about it one more time. The electrician is going to make more money than I am. If that's what it boils down to. If they're in the right union, they're in they get the right place. They're gonna be able to pull six digits.
Sure, they will.
Kind of like that. Am I gonna pull 6 digits? Maybe one day, hopefully. Who knows?
Right.
But, but I guess that. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. College is not for everyone, right?
Not for
College
everyone.
is not for everyone, and that definitely needs to be driven home.
But it's for everyone who wants it.
Who wants it?
Of course. If that's what they want, if they want to go to college, they should go to college. But they should not be forced to go to college from what they're being told by their parents and their teachers.
Right. I agree. College, if you want to do the work, well, that's the thing. A lot of people don't want to do the work, and that's the other issue behind it. It boils down to there's a romanticized vision of college, right? That you see on MTV or Netflix or whatever you're watching, right?
Yep.
They just got party like a rock star, and it's gonna be the best 4 years of your life, and so forth and so on, right? Hey,
you'll be paying for it for a long time.
Oh yeah, there's that. And the question is, are you going to be able to party like a rock star and still maintain grades?
Exactly.
I mean, that's what boils down to me. I would love just to go on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure every single day, kind of a thing, But
yeah, there's a lot of changes that I'd like to make to education as well. Like I said, I'd like to see civics taught. I'd like to see personal finance taught a little bit more. I know that when I was in school, I was never taught how to balance a checkbook. I was never taught about, compounding interest and how stocks and bonds work and investments. Like, I think that those types of things are also equally important. Entrepreneurial skills. Those types of things I think are important. I mean, I'm sure those classes are taught in certain places. I just didn't get them. They weren't offered to me. Or if they were, I didn't take them, I guess.
So would you push more localized education then? Like,
I'm always a fan. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't totally think we should get rid of the Department of Education. I'm not a fan of Common Core. In the end, I think that the smallest level of government possible to handle education is who should be handling education. And that's how you're going to get the best education.
Was that last week on the show? Or the week before? I don't remember now. I was talking exactly about that, right? What does a lawmaker in Springfield know more than the teacher or the principal or the superintendent who's in the trenches every day?
Yeah. I mean, Illinois education is so horrid. I mean, we're in such bad condition here. We have 860-something school districts. They need to be consolidated. We have teachers and all sorts of administrators making well over six figures in their pensions, and it's just. It's broken. It's absolutely broken. And we have some of the highest property taxes in the nation and some of the lowest educational output. That equation doesn't work.
Sure. Well, I guess we'll take another commercial break, and we'll be back some more Wall-to-Wall Politics on WPFS, Proud Fighting Scots Radio, 105.9, Monmouth.
I'm a future doctor and a leader.
I'm a future Spanish professor and a leader. I'm a future journalist and a Kappa. Well, you know what I mean.
Becoming a Kappa member provides you with the opportunity to grow, learn, and develop the leadership abilities needed to help you achieve your educational and career goals. Founded at our very own Monmouth College in 1870, Kappa Kappa Gamma has a legacy of sisterhood, philanthropy, and inspires its members to achieve the highest type of womanhood. To learn more, visit our Facebook page or head to kappakappagama.org. Kappa Kappa Gamma, aspire to be.
This is Robin Johnson, part-time professor here at Monmouth College. Join me Wednesdays at noon for Heartland Politics, a radio show I host where I interview politicos, pundits, and other people with opinions on politics. Wednesdays at noon on WPFS 105.9, Proud Fighting Scots Radio.
When people feel something wonderful, when they really want to share their happiness, they sing. Join the Mormon Tabernacle Choir each week as they sing the world's most uplifting and joyful music. In music and the spoken word. You may forget the songs, but you'll remember the feeling of happiness.
You can hear music in the spoken word every Sunday morning at 9:30 on WPFS Proud Fighting Scots Radio.
This year's upstairs cafeteria sure looks fancy.
Bro, there's not enough seats though.
I just wish they improved the quality and variety of food instead of just changing the look.
A lot of money went into upgrading to fancy TVs, chairs, tables, yet we have the same food.
This is not the end for your taste buds.
You can visit and contact Change Food for the Better on Facebook. Let's change the food system at Monmouth College. Once again, Change Food for the Better on Facebook.
Ugh. Hey, what's wrong? I really like public speaking and writing, but I don't know what to do with it.
Why don't you join the speech team? There are plenty of different events to choose from where you can act and write. From limited preparation to interpretation to public address, there's plenty to choose from to find what interests you. You also get to travel around the Midwest on weekends to meet at different universities and colleges.
If you're interested, like the Monmouth College Forensics page for more information.
Cool, thanks. I'll do that.
And we're back on WPFS, Proud Fighting Scots Radio 105.9 Monmouth. You've tuned in to Wall to Wall Politics, and I'm your host, Brody Anderson. Thank you for sticking around this extended cut of Wall to Wall Politics. You know, I really enjoy extended cuts because, you know, the show usually goes for, an hour. But, if I'm getting into something, I'll just throw an extended cut. So, anyway, in the studio today, while we're doing the extended cut, Matthew-C-Scaro, Illinois.
Matthew-C-Scaro, Libertarian candidate for Illinois governor. For those who are tuning in right now, you guys need to check me out. I am something way, way different than Bruce Rauner or J.B. Pritzker. I am not here to raise your taxes. I am here to hold these bureaucrats in Springfield accountable.
So, we've had a great little over an hour, haven't we? We've covered a lot of topics.
Yeah,
we've gotten into it a little bit, as promised, right?
Yes, I have.
So I guess let's grab from the viewers, right? From
Okay.
the viewers. So my phone's been blowing up here for the last hour or so.
Okay.
From some people listening. In regards, I'm not gonna mention their names, but in regards to our conversation about doctorates and degrees, right?
Okay.
With education, a comment came in regards to you not the job not necessarily checking, right?
Sure.
The first thing they usually do is check the degree and check the references.
Okay.
So how do you, I guess, justify that?
Well, I'm just saying that I personally, no one has ever asked me for a transcript at any job that I've ever gotten, and I can't quite honestly. I've asked people, I've never ever known of anyone to have to send in a transcript. It's never happened to me. I'm not advocating that people, be dishonest. I'm just saying that it's not something that's generally verified. They kind of take you at your word for it. By the way, there's an interesting concept of using the blockchain to verify a person's transcripts, and I think that's kind of an interesting idea, but I don't totally understand the details or how it would work.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the idea of the blockchain.
Hey, by the way, before I forget, Brody, can I just make a quick plug?
Sure.
Tonight at 7 p.m. on Reddit, R Libertarian, I will be doing an AMA. So 7 p.m. We're at Central Time, right?
Yeah, this is Central.
7 p.m. Central Time on Reddit. r/libertarian. I will be doing an Ask Me Anything, so if you guys still want to ask me more questions and pick my brain, please come check it out.
Yeah. Get the questions that I wasn't able to ask today.
Yeah.
So, but no, what is this blockchain thing? I've never heard of it.
Oh, blockchain is the technology that backs up cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a Luddite, just in reference in general.
I'm a gold bug, so.
Let's see. Anyway, another question that came in was in regards to our conversation, of course, about legalizing drugs, right?
Sure.
Okay, so I guess with addiction, this question was in regards to addiction, right?
Sure.
With people being addicted and things like that. Will big corporations take advantage of this and market it towards the addicted? I mean, is that right? I guess that's what this person's wondering. Kind of like similar to, there's that, I don't know how truthful it is, but there's definitely been that notion that's been thrown around that big tobacco will market, like Newports in African American communities because people are addicted to it.
I'm sure that there will be recovery programs that will want to market to people trying to quit. There already are. If you watch television, you're going to see all of these ads for people. Passages of Malibu. Alexian Brothers in Cook County obviously offers recovery programs. When people have problems with alcohol, we have programs that help take care of them for that. And once they have shown that they can reliably hold down a job, they're basically allowed to regain their human dignity and enter back into society. Whereas, if someone's arrested for heroin, they have a felony on their record. They can't get a job. They're statistically more likely to go right back to prison. It's very difficult to get welfare, but I mean, they will be on some sort of assistance programs, and it's a cyclical system. So that they are, it's going to, and it preys on certain individual communities. But yeah, totally. And look, I mean, if there are corporations who want to offer a recovery program and are doing so honestly, I don't necessarily have a problem with that if they are helping people. They're providing a product or a service. Now, that being said, I do know that there is a free option, and you can find it. It's right at the very beginning of the phone book.
No, I guess the question wasn't in reference to recovery. It was in reference to big corporations, cigarette companies marketing towards those who are already addicted, making it easier to fall further into addiction. So it wasn't really about the recovery program.
Marketing drugs?
Marketing drugs.
I mean, that's what they do all the time already, right? I mean, it's
right,
pharmaceuticals.
I guess if you start legalizing, heroin, meth, so forth and so on.
I mean, we have legalized heroin. It's just called Oxycontin, right?
Right.
So, and they could put advertisements on TV already.
Well, I mean, but like
they have legal speed. It's called Adderall, right?
No, Adderall, you gotta get prescriptions for that stuff, though.
Yeah, you gotta get prescriptions, right? Yeah, you have to go through the government. So the government's allowed to sell drugs. They're the only legal drug dealers.
That's one way to put it.
It's terribly accurate. Yes, I'm sure that they will. And I mean, look, they do this in every other industry, but there's no way that you can legislate against stupidity and against people being predatorial. Like, if people want to do this, if people want to put something in their body that harms them, look, I'm not saying that it's a good thing, but I'm just saying that the government should not stop them. I want to live in a free society.
Yeah. And I guess some more grab bag questions that came in.
Man, he is scrolling through like a wall of questions. How many people have sent things in here, Brody?
Lots. What do you? I guess furthering up with the last question, legalizing of things like steroids, will you be fine with?
Yeah.
How do you think that would affect rehabilitation agencies or the major league athletic associations?
Well, by the nature of androgynous anabolic steroids, people recover very quickly from injuries. Steroids, it's actually a funny thing because we have this misconceived notion that steroids kill people, and they don't. There are no dead bodies from steroids. I've never used steroids in my life. I probably look like I do, but I don't. I never have. And yeah, of course, yes, steroids should be legal. Again, listen, folks, when I'm saying that I think that these substances should be legal, does not mean that I would use them or that I advocate for them. Cigarettes are legal. I don't smoke cigarettes. Alcohol is legal. I don't drink alcohol. And if the government made it illegal, all of the people who are heroin addicts, I'm sorry, if the government made cigarettes illegal, all the people who smoke cigarettes would still find ways to smoke cigarettes. Just the nature of things. So whether it's legal or it's illegal really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, if the government made a law tomorrow that said all cigarettes are illegal, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, there'll still be less people on cigarettes, though, because eventually people will start weaning themselves off because, cigarettes will be black market. and it's more expensive to go on the black market than what it is to buy through conventional means. Also, it's hard to find, a black market seller. So I think addiction would go down in that way then, because people would just go cold turkey.
Maybe, but I'll tell you what would go up is death and murder. So more people would still die from using cigarettes. But then, of course, there would be a black market for cigarettes, and we'd have gangs like M13 who want to sell cigarettes. So when someone else gets on their turf to sell their cigarettes on their turf, they're going to shoot them and kill them. And then when there's kids who are going to go ahead and traffic the drugs and they get caught in the crossfire, children will be murdered. And then cops will come in and they're going to try and enforce these draconian laws. And so the cops are going to murder people, innocent people, children. And so, yeah, you're right. Maybe addiction will go down, but murder and death will go up. And here's the thing, is that we're talking about innocent people being murdered, people who didn't necessarily have any part in it, whereas if people smoke cigarettes, they voluntarily chose to do that knowing the risks.
Sure. Here's one that's kind of an extended of that. What would you do to combat some of the crime rings that are going around Chicago and elsewhere throughout the state?
Legalize drugs. Legalize drugs. Of course, legalize drugs. That is the solution. Look, like I said before, in the 1920s, when we had alcohol prohibition and Al Capone was there with a Tommy gun and everyone's getting shot up because they're selling bathtub gin, and we had speakeasies, that was what caused the violence. After they were able to sell alcohol in Walgreens, you don't have that anymore. There's nobody doing that. There is no bathtub gin. So If you legalize drugs, you're not going to have gangs selling it. So that's one massive way that you could curb the violence. In fact, that's really the only way to curb the violence.
Let's do one more question. All right, one more from the audience. Gold standard, completely out of the blue. Gold standard.
Oh, I'm a huge advocate of a gold standard. I'm a gold bug. I mean, that's what I got into libertarianism about, was monetary and economic policy. I'm a huge fan. I personally buy and own gold and silver. I think it's massively undervalued, and I encourage people. It's funny, by the way, and I'm kind of going to go off on a little tangent here, but for years and years and years, most financial advisors suggested that people own 20% in precious metals as a part of a diversified portfolio. We don't teach people that anymore. We just tell them to own more stocks and bonds that they can find on a computer screen and pretend like they actually have some sort of asset. But no, having gold and silver is something that I totally support. The United States dollar actually is delineated in silver. It's supposed to be 420 grains of silver. Article 1, Section 10 of the United States Constitution says that only gold and silver shall be coined as legal tender for payment of debts. And if it hasn't sunk in yet, I am a big fan of the Constitution. It's
very don't say.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to inflate gold and silver. You have to dig a lot. So I like that part too. And in Illinois, I like the idea of allowing gold and silver to be used as money, as mentioned in the Constitution. And I don't think that people should have to pay a capital gains tax on the sale of gold or silver, since it's an exchange of money.
Or would you make an effort, if you were governor, to return the United States back to the gold standard, in opposed to what Richard Nixon did in the 70s?
I wouldn't be president, but in Illinois,
as a push, I guess. Like would you spearhead it? I guess.
Yes, I would. And I would also, like I said, in Illinois, I would allow people to transact in gold and silver. In other words, if you wanted to buy a house in gold, you should be allowed to buy a whole house in gold, as opposed to Federal Reserve notes, aka dollars. So yes, that's something that I would definitely champion. And I think that once people see that and how we have circumvented the den of vipers, which we call the central bank, I think that people will begin to get behind that.
Sure. All right, Matt. Well, let's wrap this thing up. I guess let's ask the question of, make your plug. Why should we vote for you this November if you get the Libertarian nomination?
People should vote for me this November because I am the only candidate who will make real change here in the state of Illinois. I will begin by pardoning people nonstop of victimless crimes. I will send brothers, fathers, sons back into their communities. I will help to straighten out the fiscal crisis here in Illinois. I will fix the pensions. I will fix the Medicaid system. I will cut all of our superfluous spending in the state of Illinois. I will champion freedom and liberty, and I will be open and transparent. I will have an open door policy. You will all be able to come and meet with me directly. I will teach people about concepts like jury independence, and I will be accountable to all the people of the state of Illinois, unlike any governor ever before. So I hope that you vote for me. I hope you vote Libertarian. I hope you vote for freedom. Matthew C. Scaro, Libertarian candidate for Illinois governor. Follow me on Facebook and find out more about me at my website, M as in Mary, C as in Charlie, S as in Samuel, 4il.com. MCS, 4il.com. MCS4il.com. Check me out. Send me a message. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions, I will be here for you. All right. Thank you so much, Brody. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, it's been great to have you on, Matt. It really has.
Yeah.
So you're coming back at the end of the month?
I will.
It's 25th for the debate here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
I intend to be victorious there again.
Right. One more. It's like I said, it's the last debate before the convention, so it's the last hurrah, I guess. So.
All right.
Right. So anyway, this has been Wall to Wall Politics. I'm your host, Brody Anderson. I'll see you next week. Until then, be nice to each other. I'll see you later.
12 o'clock. From the top of the wall, Wallace Hall, it's Proud Fighting Scots Radio, WPFS, FM 105.9, Monmouth.
And we're live on WPFS, Proud Fighting Scots Radio, 105.9, Monmouth. You're tuned in to Wall to Wall Politics, and I'm your host, Brody Anderson. You know, I'm